And in our very, very last section, this is where we go back into the legs, and we're going to combine the legs with the upper body. We're going to work on those muscular lines that really secure legs to trunk and help them to move efficiently together. And so the previous sequence, you would have finished like this, and now you want to make sure that you move a little closer, so that you're really completely parallel to the wall. And all you're going to do is you're going to bring the leg that's closest to the wall up, about hip height, a little bit lower, a little bit less. Feel what your knee and your hip like, and then step back, and it's going to be quick steps like that. And this is great for your iliopsoas, so a muscle line that starts in the leg, middle of the leg goes up through the pelvis and attaches at the back ribs, more or less in the middle of your spine. Yeah, so quick, efficient. Again, anything between 10 to 30, a few more if you'd like. And then when you're done, I'm going to show you basically the rest of the exercises, and I tend to do all of the exercises on one side and then all of the exercises on the other one. I'm just turning so that you can see better. You are very welcome to stay with some fingers against the wall if your balance is a bit funny. But you want to try and kind of keep the weight evenly on the left and the right side of your body. Like, lift the knee that's just, lift the foot of the leg that's just worked. You're going to keep the knees together. And it's, again, just like a little kind of pumping action. Tiny, small one. And if you put your hand at the back of that thigh, you'll feel the muscles right here working. And if you go into the glute a little bit, you'll also feel it. So this is great for the back of the leg, going into the glute, the back of the pelvis. Again, anywhere between 10, 30, 40. And then you're going to reach that leg long and a little bit back. And again, a little pumping action. So this is going to be great for the whole of the back of the leg. If you put your hand on the glute, you'll feel, wow, the glute's working. Center the weight on the left and right side. And if you put a hand at the front of the other leg where it joins the pelvis close to the pubic bone, you'll feel a little muscle there, also helping you stabilize. And it's also working. Again, anything 10 to 40, then take a moment to relax. And this is specifically for that intersection going into the pelvis, into the glute. And the movement starts with one little step forward, step back to the side, step back and forward. Tack, tack, tack. Tack, tack, tack. I'll show you from the front. And so one full movement is you start at the front, you end at the front. So that's one full one. So as soon as you go back to the front, count 2, 3, 4. And of course you'll feel it on the other leg as well. It's helping you stabilize. It's going to work a lot. But all of the muscles here that are helping you move the leg are really working. If you put the fingers just at the very top of the thigh on the inside, you'll be like noticing all these tiny little segments of your adductors, the muscles that pull the leg back into the center, kind of turning on depending on where exactly that foot is. So again, anywhere between 10 and 30. Take a little moment, rest, relax, and then you'll do the other side. And I'll just remind you, lift that leg more or less hip height, and then quick little steps back, forward. Try not to lean forward or backwards too much, but to try and keep the weight of your upper body straight over the middle of your standing foot. Just remind you, next section, you're lifting the foot up, and then tiny, tiny little pumping action. Notice my toes, my foot are really flexed here. Don't flex them, you'll feel the difference. And then flex them again. Hands to feel, muscles at the back of the thigh, at the base of the buttock, and then make the leg long and those tiny little pumping actions, forwards, backwards, through from the side. It isn't a big movement at all. Yeah, and then you'll just do that little kind of 3-point action around the standing leg. Forwards, backwards, forwards, backwards, backwards, sideways, backwards, forwards, backwards, sideways. Tuck, 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 tuck. And that's it. That is your full sequence. And I do those segments in exactly that sequence, because before I do these movements that are involving a lot of balance, I want to have a strong core in the front, a strong back line. I want to have strong legs already, but without having to kind of take care of evening out the wobbliness, which is a lot of what we were doing lying on our back at the wall. And then it's nice to kind of build up the upper strength and then build up the lower strength to feel really grounded. If you, however, want to shift some of those elements around, I would strongly recommend that you do the first section first, strong core, strong back line, and then you can mix the other ways around. But I find that segments 1 and segments 2 are kind of easy to go from 1 to 2 because you're already on the floor, but the rest is kind of really up to you. I would encourage you at the end of your routine again to take a little moment to feel what has that kind of changed in terms of how my body feels connected, if I feel strength, warmth, aliveness. And then the really surprising thing is that it can also really change something about your mood. I find that if I feel a little bit like low on energy or low in my mood, that often acts like a pick-me-up. Maybe something similar happens to you. Enjoy. One more thing. I also recommend to do these 2 to 3, sometimes 4 times a week, but to try and kind of keep 1 day of rest in between each repetition of the sequence. Just because it is good for your muscles to know how to work, but it's also good for them to remember how to relax. That's when muscles are really healthy. Okay, enjoy.